Today's story begins at a crossroads where the deepest betrayals spread their dark wings over a life built on trust and a page from my life's book that was once filled with peace, but became stained with an unimaginable sorrow and deceit. I was just an ordinary woman, a wife and a mother who had dedicated 40 years of her life to one relationship, 40 years of loyalty and love, and every morning I woke up with new dreams alongside my husband, and every evening I felt a profound sense of security. Resting my head on his shoulder, our world was small, but it was overflowing with happiness, and I lived for him and stood by him through every joy and every trial. Our home was a sanctuary of our affection where the lights of laughter and love burned brightly, and I truly believed I was the luckiest woman in the world. My husband was my partner and my everything, and I never could have imagined that behind this curtain of domestic bliss a dark and heavy secret was taking root. But life has a way of turning your entire world upside down when you least expect it, and slowly I began to sense something strange and off balance in the air. My husband's behavior started to shift, and he began coming home late at night and whispering into his phone. In the shadows, and the spark in his eyes that used to be reserved only for me started to fade away. Whenever I asked him what was wrong, he would offer a string of excuses about the heavy workload at the office, or stress, or being tired, or meeting friends for a drink, like my own daughter. So many excuses that I lost count, as if she were my own to believe his words, because there was no room everything for suspicion in my heart, and took care of her every need. He was just lately her actions started to feel odd to me as well, difficult phase, and I often saw her sitting a little too close to my husband, and kept trying to handle him with glimmer in her eyes that I had never noticed before, and I kept crawling out of the darkness and into fragments of my imagination. My daughter-in-law Allison, telling myself that I was overthinking things because she was my son's wife, and I had daughter-in-law relationship is supposed to be close, and if she sat with my husband, then so what? And I even used my son's frequent business trips as an excuse for her seeking company, but deep in the corner of my soul an uneasiness was growing, and it was a restlessness that was warning me of an unknown danger ahead. One day my son told me that he had to go out of town for an important business meeting, and he asked me to look after Allison, and on that day as my son left the house, I felt a chill down my spine, like something terrible was about to happen, but I shook off the feeling and got busy with my chores. But that night was destined to be the longest night of my life. It was around 2 in the morning when I woke up needing to use the restroom, and as I walked down the hallway I heard strange muffled sounds coming from my husband's bedroom. At first I thought he might be talking in his sleep or having a nightmare, but the voices grew louder and more distinct, and there was a strange intimacy in those whispers that made my heart race with a terrifying rhythm. My footsteps drew closer to the door, and a strange fear took hold of my soul. The door was slightly ajar, and I slowly pushed it open, and what I saw shattered my entire being into a million pieces. My husband and my daughter-in-law were in the same bed, and they were close in a way that no father-in-law and daughter-in-law should ever be, and their bare backs were right in front of my eyes, and my husband's hand was resting on her waist, and they were completely lost in each other. I could not believe my own eyes, and my heart broke, and my dreams crumbled, and all my happiness turned to ash in a single second, and no sound came from my mouth as I just stood there silently watching them while tears streamed down my face, and a strange hollow silence filled my chest as I watched my entire world collapse right in front of me. I backed away from the door and returned to my room, and my heart was a storm of rage and agony, and I could not sleep for the rest of the night as the tears would not stop falling, and I could not believe that the man I gave my whole life to could betray me like this, and my daughter-in-law, whom I treated with such kindness, had stabbed me in the back, and my relationships lay in pieces before me, and I didn't know what to do, or who to talk to, or who to trust anymore, and every color of my life had turned gray. But by the time the sun began to rise I had made a decision, and it was a decision that would change my life forever. The next morning I woke up and went about my daily routine, but there was a strange stillness inside me, like the eerie calm before a massive hurricane, and I prepared breakfast and called everyone to the table, and my husband and Allison were stealing glances at each other, and the fear was visible in their eyes, and I knew they suspected that I might have seen something, but I remained silent, and I didn't say a word to them. And then I called my son and told him to come home early, and he was worried and asked what was wrong, but I told him I just wasn't feeling well and needed him home, and I knew this was my final chance to give them the punishment they deserved for what they had done. That afternoon, I went to the store and bought a few specific items, including a new bottle of personal lubricant and a tube of industrial-grade superglue, and I knew that my husband used that lubricant every night before bed.